We mentioned earlier that without disagreements there would be very little change in our lives. There's nothing wrong with having a difference of opinion, and it need not necessarily end up as a disagreement, a dispute or a conflict. I won't go into details of particular cases here, but the differences of opinion which come to be supported by Newport mediation very often involve people who feel they are not in control, or feel frustrated or frightened, feel threatened, want things to be different or want to do things differently. They misunderstand each other or see things differently, do not get on with each other. Things only get bad when a disagreement becomes negative. There are several ways in which this can happen. A very common response to disagreement or dispute is to ignore it. After all, most of us would rather hope it just goes away rather than have what could be a difficult conversation. And it's true that sometimes the best thing is to ignore a disagreement. Everyone will have forgotten about it next week. But when it comes to disputes and conflict, that's the worst thing you can do. The longer a problem lasts, the worse it can get for those involved in terms of stress, anxiety, and even depression. It can actually start to harm the quality of someone's life. Now, this one sounds simple, but is often overlooked, especially at the early disagreement stage. People make a disagreement official. Once that starts to happen, we can dig into our positions and find it difficult to be flexible, often because our system seems to make it easy to be confrontational. It becomes harder to be flexible, and what's worse, the relationships between those involved face lasting damage. So it's a good idea to be brave and have that quiet word with your neighbour, or explain to your colleague how you feel about what they call banter at coffee time. If you need some support with tackling your problem, mediation is often seen as an informal process, although sometimes the details of your agreement might be shared with other people. Later on we'll see that although there might be one or two apparently obvious causes of a falling out, a thoughtless action, an inappropriate comment or a genuine mistake, it's usually not as simple as that. Mediators find that in very many cases there are several hidden issues which can keep stoking a conflict, and because they're hidden, they can be overlooked by a formal method such as a complaints procedure. This can mean that even after a conflict has been settled, the underlying causes still remain, ready to cause another flare-up or continued animosity. Until these are uncovered and sorted out, problems are likely to keep coming back. Problems also arise if someone sees a disagreement as a competition which only one person can win and all the others are losers. Later on we'll be looking at the different ways that we can respond to disputes and conflicts. And we'll see that if people take that I win, you lose approach, it's possible that nobody wins in the end. The great news is that it is possible to get a good, strong and positive result from a disagreement, dispute or conflict. And in fact, mediators will very often be supporting people to find a solution in which everyone can see that they have gained something.